I'm only taking one step at a time towards healing myself. I had to get out, I found a way out. No more living in pain or misery. It's all about protecting my energy. Keep the negative away from me, because I am just keeping my peace. Cut off everything that no longer was serving me, and I chose to start loving myself. I walk in my purpose, no looking back, I'm only going with it. B.O. standing there, a better version of me. I must say that I'm proud of me. It's not about how you feel, I'm living proof that God is real. So let me show you how to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, cause I came a long way. My journey isn't yet complete, that's what it look like to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, I'm proud of myself. It's nothing to it, you can do it, all you gotta do is just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul. Just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Pain to Purpose podcast, episode 2, where we're talking about domestic violence relationships. I am your host, Creative Soul, and we have our guest today, Mr. Darin Scales. Scales, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. We are glad to have you on the show here on Pain to Purpose. We are all healing together, sharing our stories to be able to help somebody. We know there's somebody out there that has a similar story or something close to it. And we know that our testimony can help somebody else. So let's get right on into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Scales.
Oh, well, as you know, my name is Darin Scales. I've been a singer for a while, and doing this, doing this job, out construction, and moving forward in life and trying to progress.
Good. Sounds great. So, can you tell us about the relationship that you had that was domestic violence?
I started a relationship with a young lady back in '96, freshman year.
Freshman year in high school?
Freshman year of high school, yes. Freshman year of high school. I was, it was one of those situations where I was a bigger guy at the time, so self-esteem was at a low, and she just happened to be somebody that I just, didn't think I had a shot at, but was fortunate at the time to succeed in, moving forward towards a relationship. But not to mention the relationship started kind of shady because she kind of like snuffed me from up under her friend, so to speak. So it kind of started off a little jacked up from the gate, and that was definitely a red flag that I bypassed because I was obviously looking at what was in front of me.
So wait a minute, sir. So you saying, so you were dating the friend?
Yeah, it initially started off that I was dating the friend. Mind you, I was kind of like, so to speak, dealing with the friend out of pity. I kind of felt bad because it was just, I just felt bad. So I kind of like went into the situation reluctantly because I just really felt bad for her. So I decided to go ahead and try to pursue or try to start a relationship that I really wasn't all the way into. And I guess at the time she was kind of like, scheming for me, and I didn't know. And she kind of told me that after we ended up, starting a thing, and I kind of found out then.
So I'm going to say that I think a lot of us have all been there where we felt low or had low self-esteem because of maybe our size, or maybe because somebody told us that we were unable to do. So we had that in our mind that we wasn't good enough. And so a lot of us have got into relationships with people that really didn't deserve us. I too have done the same. So I don't want you to feel bad, or anybody that is watching this, I don't want you to down yourself or feel bad about that. We all are, beautiful and handsome in God's eyes, and we are great just the way that God has made us. But we all have been there.
Right, right.
So what happened after that? You ended up with a young lady, and
Went up, after that we ended up, basically it pretty much started from a physical relationship, and basically it just started from there. It really wasn't like a whole bunch of getting to know one another, a chemistry aspect or anything like that. It was just a physical thing, and then it just kind of just turned into like I guess a relationship, so to speak. But
mhm.
at the same time, like I said, I really wasn't all the way into the situation all the way because it was physical. I didn't know much about her. I didn't know her parents, any of that. I didn't know her siblings at the time, so it was just physical thing. And I mean, after time, it kind of developed into a somewhat, I guess you could say, a relationship, so to speak. And then as time progressed, we were on and off. We did a lot of on and off. So at a particular time, we were off. She then kind of like left me a voicemail saying that I'm pregnant with your son, and this, that, and the third, and
Okay.
it kind of turned into kind of like a forced relationship at the time because I just didn't want to have my son out there and not have a father, and was trying to develop a somewhat unit with somebody that just wasn't meant to be for me trying to build a unit with, basically. And I kind of
So
it was kind of
how? So 1 second. When she left you a message saying she was pregnant, at what point was this? Like, how many years into this relationship, or how old were you guys at that time?
let's see. Well, my son was born in '01, so I would say about around about '01. She told me he was born in '01, so I was
Okay.
18. She told me she was pregnant with my first son at 18. So
Okay. So this is like your senior year in high school now?
yeah, somewhere around there, because I was
Okay.
'96. I was 16 years old,
Okay.
somewhere around 16 years old in '96. So it basically turned into 18 years old, pregnant with my first son at the
Okay.
time. So
All right.
she tells me she's pregnant with my son at the time, and I lose it. I kind of like was totally unprepared. Didn't know that that was going to be the kind of voicemail I was going to hear. Mind you, like I said, we were off and on. We had I think it was a summer. At some point, we were kind of, going at it pretty hard, things of that nature. And then things kind of just kind of broke off, and you know, when I stepped away, so to speak. And then I get the call about her being pregnant. Now, mind you, when she's telling me she's pregnant, she's already 6 months in. So
Oh
I
wow.
don't,
Okay.
I don't find out until 6 months in.
Okay.
So obviously, your mind is kind of like, is it mine? Because you kind of telling me a little bit deep, a little late into the game. So obviously, I'm gonna think a certain type of way. But I just said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take responsibility for the situation and do the best I can and try to be a father and try to develop this quote unquote unit that I, obviously always wanted to, to establish. I didn't want my kids being raised in different households, and different baby daddies, and things of that nature. I didn't want a bunch of different baby mamas and all of that. So I said, well, we're gonna try to make this thing work. When we tried to make this thing work, mind you, I'm living with my mom because I'm still 18 years old. She's living with her mother. They find out. She decides, I guess, well, she proclaimed that she was kicked out. So that forced us to go ahead and have to live with each other prematurely. Mind you, this is all physical, you know. So we end up moving in with my mom, or she moves in with me and my mom, and things begin to, unravel. A little bit further. A little bit further, they start to unravel because, obviously we're young. We're
Right.
going through the motions. We don't know each other that well because everything's physical. So we're trying to learn each other on the fly. And then you throw in a baby, then you throw in moving together, and then just create a combustible situation. So at this point, I think we had kind of like we're at odds. I don't know exactly why we were at odds at the time. It was probably because of some arguments, disagreements, whatever the case may be. But it was a time where we were kind of just walking around the house like we was roomies. She wasn't talking, I wasn't talking. Communication was not happening. So at that point, I took it upon myself. I believed at that point that we were coming to an end. So I proceeded to jump out there and got myself into a situation with another young lady, and proceeded to try to go ahead and move forward, even though she was still in the home. I decided to still try to just do me, because you're not talking to me, I'm not talking to you. There's no communication. I don't know where we stand. So at this point, I'm going to just assume that we're not standing together.
So wait a minute. So you thought because you guys were not communicating, that means you're not together?
Yeah, I mean, because this is going. You got to remember, this is going on for a minute. It wasn't like this was a day or or one whole day. This is going on for quite some time consecutively. So this is days where we weren't saying nothing. She was going her way, I was going my way. We were living and interacting like roommates. Nobody was speaking to one another at all. So it left me to believe whatever at that time, because I'm not getting anything from her. She's not getting anything from me. So
and she was just there because of her living situation from home.
Mind you, we never wanted her to live with us in the first place. We only let her live with us because she was pregnant with my son.
So did she ever talk to her parents about going back home or trying to find somewhere else to move to?
At the time, she didn't, but you gotta gotta know that we thought and felt like she never really got kicked out in the first place. We felt like that was the story that she told us so she could just come up in there and live with us. So we never believed that. No one believed that. When I say no one, me, my mom, my pops, none of us believed that she was technically kicked out. So
at what point did you guys start thinking that? Like, why?
I think we kind of like all thought that from the jump. We just didn't just come out and say it because obviously, it's a delicate situation. We don't want her out there obviously on the street. She's pregnant with my son. So we kind of just went with the flow silently without really just, exposing it more or less. We kind of just went with it because it's like, whatever. However you got over here, you got this kid. We're gonna do what we got to do for the kid.
Take care of the kid.
So it was never really in retrospect any help in regards for her. It was about my son. Basically.
Okay. And so you guys were thinking that even though she said her parents put her out because she was pregnant, that may not have been the case.
No, we don't believe that was the case. No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Now, do you know when she was with her parents? Okay, so you hadn't met them, so you don't know what the relationship really was like.
Not at all.
She was in that home at the beginning.
Right. In the beginning, not at all.
Okay. All right.
Hadn't met her father, nobody. I hadn't met anybody. So
Okay. So once you decided or you thought, and you guys were young too, so
yeah,
you
yeah, I
thought that
remember.
you thought you guys were pretty much over, so then you started like dating or whatever. You guys were kind of doing your own thing, but she was still in the house.
Yeah, well, I went on and went into a situation. Well, I won't say a situation. It was basically it was a physical interaction with another young lady. Unfortunately, this young lady that I was involved with, she didn't, they didn't really like each other. You know, it was a situation that they just really didn't see eye to eye. But she
How
didn't see
did
eye
they
to eye
know each other?
because this was a young lady that we both had went to school with. We had both went to
Okay.
school with this young
Okay.
lady, and they went through different, interactions, disagreements, or whatever you may want to call it, in just during school,
Okay.
because she automatically assumed that any and everybody that looked in my direction was trying to, take me, pursue me, whatever the case may be. And then in all reality, maybe she had some, insecurities or some things that she probably felt too. Maybe that's why she acted the way she acted, because any and everybody that would come in my path, oh, you must, she trying to get me, she trying to get me, this, that, the third. So this particular girl was just one that she kind of, argued with and things of that nature. So mind you, while this is going on, we 18, we're out of school. This girl has her own apartment she has her own apartment and all of that, and I'm still living with my mom. So, one day I kind of slide out there and, whatever we did, whatever things happened, and, she happened to, find out. Or I believe I came and I told her about it, spoke about it, or whatever, and she was upset and she felt like she was betrayed, the trust was betrayed, and things of that nature. But however, we still ended up moving forward, and got past it. At least I thought, and come to find out, I just believe that was something that she held over my head for basically the duration of the relationship. And people say they forgive, but I don't really think that all the way accurate if you're still treating somebody the same way as if somebody that's out there doing something wrong. So
Mhm.
I don't believe that the forgiveness was all the way genuine or the forgiveness was all the way given out properly. I really don't believe that that was the case. I think it was lip service, and we kind of just moved forward. And then fast forward after that, we ended up moving into an apartment together. And this is when I think we had another one of my other children, my daughter, and we were going through, before we moved into the apartment, we were going through arguments and things of that nature, and it was always volatile between the two of us. I wasn't allowed to really tend to my son properly. She had an issue with my mom and the way she interacted with my son. She felt like she was trying to be my son's mother, and she felt like she was basically just overstepping her position. And me and her argued over things of that nature because I'm kind of trying to defend my mom and still trying to show her I'm loyal to her, and I'm in the middle. So we're
Okay.
clashing in regard to that. So that definitely caused issues in that regard. And then and then once we got into the apartment, we got into physical altercations where she would got to cussing me out. She wanted to get physical. She wanted to try to stand in front of the door, not allow me to get any help or anything like that. So I was going through a cycle like that once we got into the apartment. So it really started
So
getting.
so when you guys moved in together, at that
Mhm.
point you were trying to be honest and have a real relationship in the whole family
Right, right.
setting and everything. Okay. And
Right.
then when you guys had arguments and stuff, she was verbally abusive.
Well, she was verbally abusive and she was physically abusive. She liked to push and she wanted, she liked to, hit and she was very, very aggressive, very disrespectful. She definitely liked to try to break me down from an emotional standpoint, vulnerable, because she knew certain areas that I was vulnerable in, and she liked to play that against me in the midst of these arguments. She
Mm-hmm.
would say disparaging comments and disrespectful comments, and when the smoke and everything had cleared and the dust was clear, she wanted to come back and try to manipulate the situation, like, oh, I just said this, nothing third, because that's the only way I can get to you, and the best way I know how to get to you is words, and I don't know what else to say. And she wanted to play very helpless, very victim type maneuvers and stuff like that. And I mean, me, like I said, from the beginning, being a bigger individual, low self esteem, I took on or accepted a lot of things that I shouldn't have accepted. Um, so now going back to like my first, the first, altercation that got me in jail. I think it was a situation over there where she had I think she had like my jacket, and we were wrestling and tussling over the jacket because I had like I think I had money in it or something like that. I'm trying to get the jacket, trying to get out of the house. She don't want to let me get out, so we going back and forth tussling with the jacket. We fall on the couch. Now, when we fall on the couch, she bites my hand hard, real
Oh
hard.
wow.
So it just reaction. I grab her and like what the like what the fuck are you doing? I don't know if I can cuss on here, but I'm like, what the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? She didn't bit the shit out of my hand. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So we end up, separating, getting up off of each other, and I get up out of there and I leave. Now, I think at the time I had like a check or something like that upstairs, or whatever the case may be. I called the police.
Mm-hmm.
The police come over there and they trying to help me escort, get my stuff. I get them over there to help me get my stuff out of there. They let her go up to the room before I could even get up to the room and get what I was trying to get. And basically, she got what I was trying to get, which is a check. So they let her go up there and do all the things and get away with it and so forth and so forth. So at this time, I kind of, just take what I can grab, I leave. At this time, I was with, I think I came back later on and I had my cousin Maurice with me, made rest. He came with me and I was like, I'm gonna try to get my stuff, get my check and stuff like that. So when I got it, when I tried to go over there, the police were already there. The police was still there, So I then tried to like back out and get up out of there because she had
Mm-hmm.
already, she was already trying to tell. She'd already told them I did this and that and the third and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get up out of there because I know I didn't do the things that she said. So I'm trying to leave. As I'm backing out, they catch me trying to back out. So now I'm stuck. So now I got to kind of stay there and kind of face the music and deal with whatever was coming for me. So when uh, when I get stopped, the police get on me. They get me about the car, and just so happened one of the officers that I knew, my bad, excuse me, an officer that I knew at a church, and he decided to tell me that basically believe whatever she told him. And I said, well, how much was she? What did she promise you? Did she promise you something? And he was basically telling me that I don't know. You tell me. You know this woman. You've been with her for 7 years, and was talking, talking reckless. So he then decided to, try to take it a step further and was getting ready to put me in the car. And I told him, I said, yeah, you better put me in this car before I say some stuff about your daughter. Because I know your daughter and I know how she moves and I know how your sons move too. So you might want to put me in this car before I embarrass you in this whole neighborhood and everybody gonna know what your daughter do. So,
Oh
so
no. So at that
yeah,
point,
yeah.
because you knew him and you
Uh,
felt like because he knew you from church and he knew you and your family and what type of your how your background really is, you felt like he should
right.
have understood.
Yeah,
And
I
so
felt like,
because he didn't, you wanted to bark back at him and kind of
yeah,
bring up what you knew
yeah,
about his children.
yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
I knew that he started was a, was a worker, more or less. So I knew what it was, and I was definitely going to expose him. And that's when he put me in the car. I ended up going to jail. That was like my first time getting locked up for domestic violence charges because she proclaimed that I did all these things that I did not do. So me being young, not knowing no better, got locked up. Um, at this time, I'm trying to figure out any and every way how can I get out of here because this whole jail thing is not me. This is not what I do, and this is not how I get down. So at the time, me being young and naive, not knowing no better, I went with whatever way to get me out there. And at the time, it was pleading no contest. In all reality, I didn't even know what no contest even was. I didn't even know what it meant. I didn't know. I had no knowledge of it because this is like I had never been to jail, never been locked up. This is all new to me. So I said, well, shit. I mean, pleading no contest is gonna get me the hell up out of here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's plead no contest and get me up out of there. So I pled no contest, got up out of there, ended up going to like I think I went back to my mom's house, and I don't know if she had went to her mom's house or whatever she went. I don't know exactly where she went. I wasn't concerned about that because she got me locked up. So I ended up going to my mom's house and end up obviously you know how it goes. When you sitting around, you're not doing nothing. You get to reminiscing and you get wanting that person back, and the cycle then starts to get established once again. And we get back together, then kids come in, and then kids continuously come in. Then we still getting into these altercations and arguments, and then it just starts to just evolve and get worse and worse and worse. And um, it was just like never. It was just a nonstop, arguing type of thing. Because at the time we living together, we not really moving, not really working. So we just in each other's face and just just bored. So we having kids out of boredom, and then we just steady arguing and fighting with one
Not out
another.
of boredom, Mr. Skip.
Well, when you know how I call them cable babies. When you just watching cable and you got the cable on, you ain't doing nothing. Well, you here, I'm here. Let's go ahead and do what we do. Why not?
Okay.
One of them things. You here? Well, I'm here. I'm available. You available? Let's go ahead. Why not? We ain't got nothing else going.
Okay.
So
All right.
that was pretty much how a lot of my kids came about because I got quite a bit. So I had a lot of cable babies. Let's say that.
Okay. That's the first time I've heard anybody say that they had cable babies. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind for these shows going forward. I might have to remind somebody that you had some cable babies. No, I'm just playing. I know I'm just playing for my viewers, my audience. I would not do that. I would not do that. But I will say that with you saying how you went to jail, went home, and then you were missing her, so you went back. So
Yeah.
I was doing some research. For those who do not know, from our viewers, I wrote a book called Tears of a Shattered Heart. You definitely want to get that book. It is juicy. However, even though it's juicy, there are some lessons in there. Definitely several different messages in there. But when I was doing the research on that book, I was Googling some things and it was saying that it takes about 7 times for a person to leave their a domestic situation. 7 times to leave. I never knew that.
Me neither.
So that was pretty interesting. And a lot of times we blame ourselves, one of the things I did say in my book is that I have to take accountability for the things that I allowed.
Yeah.
Because for me, I didn't feel good about myself, and so now I be thinking to myself like, okay, the way that I allow people to treat me is the way that I feel about myself. Because you teach people how to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when we feel low about ourselves, oftentimes we get into relationships that with people that don't deserve us, or it's just like for the moment, it's a feel good moment.
Right.
For me, I wanted to be loved, and
Right.
so love is blind, like Eve says. I love that
Right.
rap that Eve came out with. Love is blind, because it's definitely true. Love is blind. But yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it happens to many of us, and the reason why it was important for me to have a male on the show is because a lot of people think that women are the only ones that are in relationships where they're abused, and that's not true. Men get abused just as well as women, so we can't be biased on that. It happens on both ends. We
Right.
have some men that like to be abusive mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually, verbally, and then we have some women that like to do the same thing. And what I also learned too, that I didn't know before, um, is that people that are hurt people, but rescue people, they want to be rescuers. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to start a podcast, because I want to be a rescuer. But in order to be a rescuer, you have to learn to heal, understand that you have to heal. And you have to be vulnerable too, to be able to sit here and be willing to tell your story to the public. And we all know that people are so judgmental, but we also know they be having issues too. They just choose to cover theirs up, you know, and to pretend, they give us their representative. But
Mm-hmm.
to be vulnerable, authentic, and sit here and open up to people, even in my book, it's a lot. But I want the community to be able to come together as a whole and to help each other heal. We shouldn't be judging each other and beating each other down, because that's not helping us heal. It's just helping. Every time that person harms somebody else, if that person doesn't heal, then they start harming the person that they get with, and it just become a cycle. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times it's generational cycles. That the grandfather was abusive, then his son or sons become abusive, and then the grandkids can become abusive. And I'm not saying that's in every family, but some families it end up like that. Somebody's got to break these cycles, and the cycles are not just in domestic violence. It's in alcohol too. It could be in several different other things or whatever. So I just want to put that out there. But
Absolutely.
so you were saying that when you went back and then you guys had your second child, and
Right.
then it was good for a little bit.
Yeah, we would have stints where things would be good, and then it would go bad. If anything that I would try to do that was outside of her, it became a problem. Like at the time, like I said in the beginning of the show, I was a singer. I did a lot of singing. I was recording with these people that I was, doing things with. She decided to want to bogart the situation, speak negatively about it, discourage me from going, and then when I did go, she didn't want it to go, and then she wanted to still kind of hover up under me and not really let me get myself established because she was, once again, maybe was, like I said, she may be insecure herself and didn't want me to really see anything outside of her. So I think you know during certain parts of the relationship, I think maybe I stuck around maybe a little bit longer because maybe I was being selfish, didn't want to be with nobody else, or stuck around because because of my kids. I knew if I decided to do anything outside of her, or take my kids into a different position or a different direction, she was going to be resistant. She was going to cause problems, and she started using the kids as part behind those interactions and things of that nature. So it sucks. It's definitely something that I definitely regret. It's something that I wish I would have woke up from earlier in the game. But once again, I was being selfish, young, not want her to be with nobody because I felt like at the time that was probably about the best thing I could get, considering, you know, I mean, what my size was and what I felt like from a mental standpoint. I felt like that was about the best I could get. So I got to kind of just take whatever she's throwing at me because, I'm probably not going to get nothing better than where I'm at right now. And that's what I felt like. So I stomached and digested a lot of bullshit that I shouldn't have, digested because of just insecurities of my own. I definitely had insecurities of my own. So I definitely acted in basically in a lot of selfish ways.
Okay. So, at what point did you decide enough is enough?
Well, I had many times where I decided enough was enough and, decided I was going to make a stand and, ended up getting to that point and then things ended up going back and so I had a lot of those times. It was times where, we've had, CPS and things like that involved with these kids and I had lost them for a while to my parents. They had to take over them for a few years. And I got put into the mix because I was trying to still, even in the midst of all of this, trying to still do right by her and allow them to have a relationship with her because I was told that I was the non-protected parent. And I basically got thrown in the same mix that she got thrown into because these kids were proclaiming that she was doing a lot of violent and aggressive things to them. So these kids definitely suffered and felt some of the aggression and violence that she was imposing on me. And my oldest, especially, she knew he was one of my closest. I was really close to him. Obviously, he's my firstborn, he's my son. So she knew we were close. So when she couldn't get to me, she would, pretty much give it to him. Everything she wanted to give to me, she gave it to him, and that was her way of getting back at me by punishing him. So he became a pawn in
So
the
was
game.
it so was it like, okay, she was abusive to you and then when you wasn't there and the kids was with her, is that when it would happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So we would do a lot of makeups and breakups. So I would,
Okay.
when I was actually able to get out of the house good enough to get away, I would go, retreat and go to my mom's. Things would kind of smooth over, things would go okay. Then I feel like, okay, maybe it's cool enough to, go back over there and try to see if we can mend this thing. And in the course of that going on, obviously my son's giving me a report when I get back saying this, that, and the third is happening. And, the treatment that he was getting when I wasn't there. So obviously addressing any issue is especially of that magnitude is going to be an issue. It's not going to go over well. She's not going to just say, "Oh, okay, I understand." No, it's not. Well, she's not like that. So anything in regards to the kids was aggressive. It was volatile. I remember one time we got into it about something as frivolous as my mother's macaroni and cheese. She didn't
Not
want
the
my
mac
daughter
and cheese.
mac and cheese.
You know black
She
folks love
wanted
mac and cheese.
Yeah, mac and cheese causes causes real live generational fights. We talk about generational generational crises in this situation. So she didn't want my mama's recipe because you might gotta remember she despised my mother. She hated my mother. So my daughter at the time wanted to utilize my mom's recipe, and she was just like, "No, we're not having it. It ain't happening. So we gonna use whichever one I want to use." And I'm in there having to try to protect my daughter and fend for her over something as frivolous as mac and cheese, and that turned into a physical like situation. It was not good at all because she just really wanted to keep on pushing the issue and making it like yo mama this, yo mama that. This it was just all disrespect towards my mom because she felt like my mom was just so controlling and everything that came out of my mouth was from my mom. I didn't know how to think for myself. She really made it out to be as if I was just this helpless invalid that couldn't do anything for myself. She also felt like without her I wasn't gonna be nothing. I wasn't gonna get anything better than her. So she definitely tried to make me really codependent on her as if I couldn't think for myself. And
Now, why is it
that's
that I'm glad you mentioned the part about she thought you wasn't going to be anything, because I can't wait for the audience to hear how God has blessed you. But until we get
man.
there, why
Okay.
is it? Because God is so awesome, and
Yes, he. Yes, he
He
is.
is so good. He is so good. Your
Absolutely.
story is
I agree.
definitely going to help millions of people, I believe. I truly believe that in my heart. God's been really good. But why is it that she hated your mother so much?
I think she hated my mother so much because my mom was my place of refuge. She was my restoration. My mom would come in and mend all the things that she broken. My mom would build me up. My mom would tell me, "You are a strong man. You are a leader. You can do this. You are better than this. We know you can do this. We know who you are. I know who you are." And she kept on, reinforcing those things. She kept on letting me know, like, no, you can do this. And everything that, my mom was giving me, she was against it because it would then tear down
It was
everything that she
positive.
was trying to. Exactly. So my mom come in with the positive and it would conflict with all the negative she was trying to put into me. You gotta remember, I'm doing music. You ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't gonna get nowhere. I don't know why you're doing all this music. You're doing all this record, wasting your time. Where the money at? You ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna get you nowhere. These are the things that she's saying. You're not gonna get nobody better than me. Ain't nobody gonna want you. These are the things that she's saying to me. As if I will not make it. I will be nothing without her. And those things she kept reminding me many, many, many times over throughout but I would say, what, 20 some odd years together. So
Wow.
yeah, 20 some odd years together. And she kept expressing that to me on a consistent basis. And, when you hear something like that over and over and over again, it's easy to start believing it. It's easy to
Mhm.
start doubting who you are. It's easy to start, that the person that you truly are inside starts to drown. And you don't, that person is like, where is that person at? Because my mom always used to tell me, "You a leader. You used to feed and take care of your brother when I was at work. When as a youngster, you was cooking for him. You was spending for him. You was doing these things as a youngster. You were working in high school with a vehicle. So I know you're capable. I know you can do this. I don't know what happened to you, but this isn't you." And she would let me know, this is not you. You're shutting me out. You're shutting your father out. You're shutting your whole family out behind this woman. And you're allowing her to do all these things to you. So this isn't you. And she would keep reminding me who I am. And I ain't gonna lie, I lost myself within that relationship because I gave so much. I gave away my music. I gave away relationships with my family. I gave away friends. A lot of stuff that I gave away trying to appease this individual that just wasn't pleasing. So I spent a lot of times trying to regain and recapture who I was, even within the relationship, trying to regain and recapture. It just every time I felt like I was getting close, because my mom and my brother was those people that would try to remind me, she would snatch it right back, take it right back.
You know what? When you said that, it makes me think. They say like abusers, they don't want you to have like friends or people close to you that are strong minded, because if you do, they know that that positive energy is gonna be there for you to pour into you and pour that positivity in you. And then if you become strong, the light's gonna click and at some point you're going to leave. And so they
Mm-hmm.
have to continue to beat you down and make you feel like you're less than, even though you're not.
Right.
Um, they have to keep beating that into you to make you believe that, so that you
Yeah.
don't rise, so that you don't become or believe that you're the king that you really are.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So I think a lot of times too, when people are like that, they're dealing with their own trauma or their own issues, and so they try to keep you with them. Like, how
Yeah.
if they feel negative about themselves, they're not going to say it out loud, but it's something. It has to be something within them to want to see other people fail.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
That's
I mean, you know, I never, like I said, I never really, even with all the kids that we had, I never like really established like halfway, somewhat decent relationship with either one of her parents. Either one of them. We had no relationship. I didn't really know them. So when we doing these off and ons, and I'm getting locked up, and think of I was that. I was that.
so. What did you do when she would like call you names like that?
I mean, obviously, at that time, I'm probably one of the more wittier ones with the words, so I knew how to battle with her when it comes to words. So I would, I'm going right back in. You talking crazy in that regard? I'm going right back in.
So
Let's
at
go.
that point, had you gotten to a point where you felt good about yourself then? And so you started
Honestly,
speaking up for yourself?
well, in all reality, I was always witty with words. So I would always go back and forth with her with words, even when I was, on the low self-esteem level. I think,
Okay.
um, I think things really changed in a way where it was like me kind of really standing up is when I had a weight loss surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when things kind of like elevated my confidence, elevated my comfortability with myself, and then I was able to really just, kick my feet up a little bit and really start feeling a little bit better about myself. Once again, rediscover myself. That infuriated her, because now it's like, oh, now you getting this, why you looking like this, and oh, you think you something, and now it just became her trying to suffocate me even more. So now it started getting worse. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just like at a point where it's like, dang, she's wanting control even more now. It's like I made it worse. But she was more than willing to let me sit in there and suffer. At the time when I got the surgery, I was 400 plus pounds. I had sleep apnea. I had acid reflux. I had, the irregular heartbeat, all of that type of stuff that was going. I was having some, health issues at the time. And once again, my mom coming in as that good old savior that she's always been, came in there, swooped in, and helped me get this surgery going. Helped me get this surgery going, and I got the surgery, and I ended up, getting myself right, getting better, and
I done came a long way. I'm only taking one step at a time towards healing myself. I had to get out, I found a way out. No more living in pain.